Okay, this is going to be take two on this because I had to clear out some storage. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the new trains on Comet at Hersheypark that were revealed at IAAPA. So, as a classic wooden coaster purist, when I saw Hersheypark and Philadelphia Toboggan Company on the IAAPA schedule, I was not happy because, I know that I had seen in person that they had ripped the roof off of the brake run on Comet, and I could tell that work was being done on it. So I knew it was obviously about, hey, something's happening to Comet. So I figured they're either replacing the brake system or they're getting new trains that could potentially not have buzz bars, or maybe both potentially. And it does seem like that worst case scenario of both is the case. So they are getting new trains that have individual ratcheting lap bars, which those restraints generally suck. But if it's any solace, I will say that not all individual ratcheting lap bars from PTC suck. Like the ones on Comet at Great Escape actually aren't too bad. I'd say that some of the lower single position lap bars are actually the same height as the lowest position on the lap bars on Comet at Great Escape. So, I was able to get 4 or 5 centimeters of room for airtime, even when those individual ratcheting lap bars were at their lowest possible position. So, there's definitely room for these trains to not suck. There's definitely that possibility for them to not suck in that aspect, but the aspect that I guarantee they will suck in is capacity. We're talking about what's probably the most popular ride at Hersheypark, and I'm saying that looking at the line the thing gets, knowing that people go to Hersheypark specifically to see Milton Hershey's legacy, and we're talking about an element of Milton Hershey's legacy. Like, people go to the town of Hershey to see Milton Hershey's legacy, and we're talking about the last element of Milton's legacy, because he was the one who signed the check to get Comet built. So, it's sad that it is being changed to a type of train that makes it so that it's going to be harder to experience, basically. It probably does have to do with the fact that they wanted to get magnetic brakes on the thing so that they could run it during Candy Lane, and they didn't have to worry about, hey, it's going to overshoot the brakes. That is my theory behind what they're doing, and there's going to be an announcement from Hersheypark in October, about a year from now, that, hey, Comet is going to run during Candy Lane. I'm guessing that is what is going to happen with these new trains, and presumably the magnetic brakes that they're going to be getting along with them. I'm guessing that that is something that comes with the package. Now, that's great and all, but Candy Lane isn't exactly an enthusiast-tailored event. It's getting more and more enthusiast-tailored with Wildcat's Revenge available for it, but still, it's not an enthusiast event. I would say not an enthusiast event. So enthusiasts care more about, hey, I want airtime from the buzz bars, and there's a chance that that might not be an issue, but chances are, with every other individual ratcheting lap bar that I've experienced, yeah, it's not ideal to have that be the case. But there is one thing that I am cautiously optimistic about this on. Because, you can tell that my comments being rather negative thus far, that I'm kind of a classic wooden coaster purist. So, here's the classic wooden coaster purist in me. Comet was not built with a trim mid-course that neuters the second half, makes it so that you don't get airtime over all of those hills. Comet was not built with a trim there. That trim was added. So, if they're getting trains that can, if they had to get new trains to work with magnetic brakes to be more reliable, that means that they no longer are going to have a trim there. Here's the real shock of this video. I will say this change is positive if that is the case, that they don't have a mid-course trim. If and only if they don't have a mid-course trim, I will say this change is for the better in terms of the ride experience, because Comet has a lot of potential if it doesn't have a trim there. It really does. It's an excellent layout, and like I have heard some people describe it as being like I've heard it compared to Phoenix even from before that trim was there. I heard people legitimately compare it to Phoenix. Now, I never heard anyone that said it was better than Phoenix before that trim was there, but I definitely heard it in the same conversation. And like, I mean, if that's the case, then we definitely have something to look forward to, because like, I mean, I will say that if they're the type of individual ratcheting lap bars that allow for airtime, like the ones on Comet at Great Escape, then we are in for something good with this. Even though I will be very sad to lose the classic charm of having skid brakes and buzz bars, even though I will be very sad to lose that, there is solace in the fact that this can operate in the winter. Hey, this can operate without a trim there, and this can operate in the winter. So one more coaster during Candy Lane, like, I mean, that would be overall positive. Like, I mean, I cannot comment for sure on what direction do I lean as far as these new trains go until I see the final product. But like, I mean, I do lean towards being cautiously optimistic about it, but I mean, I'm not going to be afraid to say, hey, this ruined the ride. And like, I mean, if there's still a mid-course trim there and it's now running with individual ratcheting lap bars instead of buzz bars, I mean, we're talking about one of the first coasters I ever rode. And like, I mean, I would not be surprised if, let's just say it would be very seldom that I would be riding it if it has individual ratcheting lap bars and it has a trim in that spot, because I don't want to soil my memories of my childhood up to my rides in October this past year, which I am so glad that I was able to get several rides in on Comet in October so that I got some final rides on it with the buzz bars. Like, I didn't know that my last ride on Comet this past year was going to be my last ride on it with buzz bar restraints. But I mean, I'm glad I got some final rides on it, because like, I mean, I definitely wanted to get more rides on Comet after CoasterCon a couple years ago. And well, I was able to get more rides on it when it had the buzz bars, the single position buzz bars. So I'm glad I was able to get those rides on it. But like, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna handle the whole situation with the braking system, and if they're going to keep that trim there, because like, I mean, I am really hoping that they remove that trim and don't change it. And like, I mean, I will say something funny that I noticed on Hersheypark's tweet about this. There were a lot of coaster enthusiasts commenting about, hey, you should keep the buzz bars. PTC needs to go back to the drawing boards, put buzz bars on these trains for you. And they were not responding to those comments, but they were responding to every comment that was like, oh, will the height requirement remain the same? Or, oh, and oh, will this be changed other than any sort of system stuff? Or, but oh, like trying to say the experience is going to be as much the same as possible, or saying, yeah, these are, or like someone complimenting the design and saying, hey, the design on the front is based off of designs that were on the front of the trains for Comet in the past. And it's just like, okay, Hersheypark, we see that you don't want to respond to coaster enthusiasts who are concerned about the buzz bars, because you want to market this more to families, but I'm just going to say less families are going to get to experience it when you don't have buzz bars. And we're not talking about a situation like Roller Coaster at Idlewild where they literally didn't have a choice but to, like, I mean, they did have a choice on that to put seatbelts on the original trains, and they didn't. So I do say shame on them for that. But like, I mean, for the perception, I do understand why they didn't want to deal with, hey, we're keeping the same trains that it's literally just holding you in with a seatbelt and a lap bar that doesn't even go up and down. It's just something that you get in and out through. Basically, they didn't want to deal with that being a thing. So they so they changed out the trains. I understand Idlewild changing out the trains on Roller Coaster, but like, I mean, there wasn't a reason for Hersheypark to ditch buzz bars on Comet, because like, I mean, there wasn't an accident, at least not that I know about. And if there was, I probably would know about it because I was literally working at Hersheypark. I think I would have heard about it if there was some sort of accident involving the trains with the buzz bars that made them want to clamp down. So, like, I mean, I will say the ride was built with buzz bars. It should retain buzz bars if but like, I mean, I will say that it is an overall change for the better if they remove that mid-course trim as an element of this refurbishment. If they remove that trim, then this change ultimately will be for the better. So, like, I mean, that's my very nuanced take on the new trains that Comet is getting.